So now we're going to change our vision of the boat into a scale drawing, a scale profile drawing. First, we need a straight line across this piece of heavy paper. This is our baseline. Now, how long is this boat? It's going to be 20 inches. So we'll make marks at the 20-inch spot and the 0 spot. Okay. Now remember, this boat has a traditional shear except for a reverse transom. Like that. And we want a clipper bow. And a hull with some rocker in it. Let's do a keel about like this. I'm going to draw the rudder in here just for our estimating purposes. And when you have the lines you want, all you have to do is cut them out with scissors. So I have a piece of scrap pine here. This is just regular pine, and I've planed it down to 1/2 inch thick to help make the boat light. And we just trace our boat profile on a clear piece of this pine and cut it out on the bandsaw. So always trying to keep the weight down, we're going to drill a series of holes in this profile in order to, because it's stronger than it needs to be, and this will save weight. Now this is going to be the keel below here, so we don't drill any holes here, but we're going to drill holes all through here with this 7/8 inch spade bit. With our paper cutout, we've defined the shape of the boat as viewed from the side. And here's the wooden spine that we made. But that's only part of how we define the shape of a boat. The shape of the overall hull is also defined by the view from above. We need to create another cutout that's the shape of the deck. So let's start by drawing another baseline on our big sheet of paper and measuring 20 inches. Now, how wide is our boat overall? All you have to do is measure out half of what you want your total width to be and mark it like this. So if we want a 6-inch wide boat, we mark it there. An 8-inch wide boat, that would be, 8 inches would be very wide for a 20-inch long boat. But I'm thinking a little bit of width on this boat would be nice. So I'm going to go more than 3. I think I'm going to go 3.5. That's a 7-inch. That's a 7-inch beam on this boat, and I'm putting it about in the middle, maybe a little aft. So this is the width, full width of the boat here. Now all we have to do is connect up our wide bow with our mark of the extreme beam here. We make sure the line we want is nice and dark, and then we cut it out with scissors. Here's the spine of the boat. Now we're going to glue foam over it to build up a block that we can carve into the final hull. Remember, here's the deck. So we're going to need a couple of blocks of foam. I'm going to glue these on like this. See, we're going to need 2. This is just regular Owens Corning 2-inch Home Depot pink foam. So just trace out the foam like this. So you're going to need at least 4 of them. We'll get 3 out of this piece, and I'll have to go get another one. And cut it out on the bandsaw. For gluing the foam to the spine, I like to use Gorilla Glue. I found that it has the same density as the foam, so it's easy to sand. Gorilla Glue is activated by water. So the first thing we do is spray this with water, a little bit of water, and then we put the glue on the wood, and away we go. I like to use a popsicle stick to spread the glue around and make an even film. Get it lined up. Do the same with the next one. And the thing about Gorilla Glue is it expands as it cures. So I'm going to put a heavy weight on this while it dries. There, that ought to do it. Okay, so we've got our styrofoam glued to both sides of the pine now. I've used a pen to mark the center of the pine. And here's our deck shape. So I align it to the center line, and I'm going to trace it out with a Sharpie. Then I just flip this over and trace it on the other side. There's the shape of our boat. These are the tools we're going to use to rough out the boat. This is a fine-toothed handsaw, and I have 3 different kinds of Surform planes. So here's the shape of our boat viewed from the top. And remember that the pine in here is the shape of the boat viewed from the side. So all we're going to do now is rough it out to this shape using these tools. Okay, that's the basic shape all the way around. You can see I've cut it to the line. Now, you'll see that the styrofoam overlaps the pine a little bit. So we need to get it a lot closer to the actual pine. And we're just going to do that with the saw by cutting grooves like this until we're down to the pine. And then we can just cut along like this. And then if we need to get a little bit closer, we can use the rasp. Now I'm going to cut the foam on the deck so that the shear follows the profile we've established with the pine spine. And then I just file it down with the rasp. So now we've got the shape of our boat roughed out. You'll see that we've got it all the way along the deck, all the way along the bottom, and we've got the shape established at the deck level. So here's our boat. It's a little blocky, but for all intents and purposes, it's finished, except for a little bit of smoothing off. We're going to do that with the Sureform rasp. The only important thing now is to make the boat symmetrical. You want to do the same thing on one side that you do on the other. So I'm going to start at the stern. I want there to be a bit of a V in the stern, so I'm going to use the rasp to remove some material in this edge, and then I'm going to remove the same on this side. To make sure it stays symmetrical, look at it from end on. You can see it's still a little high on this side, so I'll shave a little more off here. Okay, it's all finished now, and you can check to make sure it's symmetrical by sighting along it and turning the boat like this. You can also run your hands over it like this, and this is a really good way to feel bumps in the surface. You can also tip it like this under a light, and as the shadows change along the hull, you can see inconsistencies in the curves. And there we have it. The hull is all done. The next step is to put a lead ballast keel in here and to cover the whole thing with epoxy and fiberglass.